the Vertical Shift Podcast. I'm Justin.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Tommy.
And I'm Michael.
All right, let's get started.
Let's go. So we got Michael here, long-time listener,
Long-time listener.
first-time caller. I always wanted to say that.
Day one.
Day
That's
one
right.
listener. I like that.
Yeah.
Day zero. 0 day.
That's awesome.
Hey, you got some exciting things going on in your life, Michael?
Yeah, baby number 2 on the way. So,
A baby on the way.
yeah, any day now. So, if you guys see me jump up and run out of here, you know why.
Yeah. Short podcast.
She's going to have to wait.
Yeah.
at least 30 minutes.
Hey, the hospital bags are in the bedroom. You know where they're at. We're good.
Yeah.
I'm sure she would go for that.
Yeah.
So,
Number 2. Man.
do you remember? Well, this is your second born, but we'll just look back at our firstborn.
Yeah.
Jeff,
I'm looking back at pictures right now.
you had cameras back then?
We had to add them later. But there's Jace.
Wow. Who's that other kid?
I know, right? So
So is that like a picture of a Polaroid? Probably. Did you transfer your iPhone?
Yeah.
that's probably true. Yeah, I'm sure.
Definitely
It is.
was no phones on cameras back then.
Yeah, I definitely didn't have an iPhone back then. Now, I remember distinctly just the weight of responsibility that fell on me. You know, when your wife is pregnant and you're all excited and expecting it, it still doesn't feel like a reality until the moment you see your baby born.
So what did you do that first moment?
Man, I just remember just feeling overwhelming responsibility. Like I got to provide. I got to take care of this kid. I got to teach him about the Lord. Like all those things, just heavy.
Yeah, we weren't in the same spot.
No.
I remember Grayson came out crying, like screaming, and I'm like, oh my word. And I mean, obviously emotions, excited, all that other stuff. But I'm like, oh, he's still
How do you turn it
screaming.
off?
He's still screaming. Good. Yeah, good.
So I never held a baby till I held my baby.
Really?
And so when my son was born, so my wife had to have a C-section. And so we were at the hospital. He's born. And I had to go home to get clothes and just get other things and bring back to the hospital. And I go to the house we were living at the time. I opened the front door and it's all dark and just quiet. Everything is put in its place. I remember stopping right at the door at the entrance, and this wave of anxiety and fear just rushed in, and I started crying like a baby. I mean, and this is completely true, but you know how dramatic I am anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
In the entryway of our house, all by myself, I fell on my knees, put my hands up, and said, "Lord, why have you forsaken me?"
You know, I'm
You
sure in
did
that
that.
moment,
I did.
it definitely just,
I did.
instills so much confidence
I did.
in Christine's mind.
Well, she
Like, this
wasn't
guy.
there. She wasn't there. No, remember, she wasn't there. I was by
Oh,
myself.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
she's
yeah.
still at the hospital.
Got it,
C-section. I had to go get
Why
clothes.
have you forsaken
I
me?
was so nervous. I was like, what have I done? We planned this. I mean, I was almost 30 years old.
I was going to ask, how old were you when you had
29.
this? Okay. How old were you?
What, 25, 26, somewhere
Yeah.
there?
The reason I ask is because how old were you, Michael?
28.
Okay. So I was 27 when Jace was born. And I remember before we got pregnant with him, I said, babe, I'm getting close to 30 and I'm still fatherless. She said, you still have a father. And I was like, you know what I mean? So we still joke about that to this
I
day.
didn't know what you meant. You said
I
fatherless.
said fatherless.
No.
Jeff, I am your father. But so anyway, I had to collect myself off the floor, and I was so scared. I was like, what have I done? I have to take care of this person for at least 18 years.
What made you lead with, why have you forsaken me?
That's
That's where
just
my
one
mind's
thing
at right now.
because I just felt like the Lord has just dumped this responsibility on me.
I felt like at that moment, the Lord's looking at us like, you know how this works. And you were trying.
It's just one of those things you don't know until you know. And just everything hit me because it was so quiet in the house. I was like, this is the last time it's going to be quiet in the house. This is the last time I'm going to come home, not really with care in the world. Like,
And now you're close to being empty nesters. And it's
so
quiet
anyway,
again.
I had to
Yeah.
go in the sock drawer. I'll never forget. Go in the sock drawer and get some socks, put in this bag, and the tears were just like flooding into the sock drawer. So all the socks I took back to the hospital were wet.
Flooding?
Yeah. I mean, I was a
pretty
mess,
dramatic,
dude. I was a
man.
mess. I'm going to tell you what brought me out of it, though. I had a friend of mine.
Christine.
I had a friend of mine. I'm going to call him out, Josh. He knows who he is. He probably doesn't listen. But he came up to the hospital and visited with me. And I was sharing with him, like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I am so scared. And he said, well, let me tell you this. He said, imagine if you were 17, had twins, and no job. He said, that was him years before. He said, I was 17 years old with twins, sitting in my parents' living room, 2 babies in my arms. They were crying. I was crying. And I told him, I said, I immediately feel better. I mean, I snapped out of it right then and felt much better because it was like, wait a minute. I can do this. And, well.
God didn't forsake me. He forsook him.
That's right.
So meanwhile, how long were you at the house?
Dude, that
Was your wife, Tommy has forsaken me. Where's he at?
Where's all the dry socks?
So the friend who came to the hospital later. I had already made it back to the hospital by this time. But, yeah. I'm pretty sure I lingered around the house, though, for as long as I could before being asked, like, where are you at?
Yeah.
Second one, breeze, easy peasy.
Yeah. First one's always different, man. You don't know what to expect.
See, we had a better experience with Jace as far as delivery and all that. Titus's was a nightmare. I think the girl was like fresh out of school, had no idea what she was doing.
Yeah, you're both learning. Yeah.
yeah.
There's a few moments in your life where you have medical issues you don't want someone new. I can think of one other, but that's a different podcast.
Yeah. No, that was.
Yeah, one is to deliver your baby. One is to stop you from having a baby.
Well, I will tell you this: it was very interesting to have my daughter in another country, and that's a different
Well,
experience.
yeah, third world country.
Yeah, but it was they treated it, and
You were actually in a hospital. You weren't in a
legit,
village.
really nice
Not
hospital.
like a village.
No, we flew to the city for that.
Wasn't like the baby Jesus coming into this world
No, it wasn't in an inn.
No, he wasn't
Or,
in an inn.
That was no vacancy, and then we ended up in a.
Wow,
No.
way to pivot.
You like that? So yeah, there wasn't anything like that. We had like a pre-delivery room, delivery room, and a post-delivery room.
Man.
It was pretty swanky, but I had to pay in cash, which was really funny because
Like $20 American.
no, it was 10 million
Yeah,
pesos,
exactly.
and I just brought boom.
So how much is that in American
It was
dollars?
about $5,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Man. Okay.
Yeah,
You was a millionaire.
it was fun. I said, babe, this is for having all my babies. I just kept stacking them.
Wow.
So yeah, 3 kids.
So you're in the final countdown.
We are. Yep. So we have a due date of May the 5th. So we were a day short from Star Wars Day, which is what I was pushing for. But if the baby isn't here before then, she'll have a C-section on May the 5th. So we're trying not to go that route. We had to do that with Beckham, and
Well, that's still Cinco de Mayo.
that's true.
Cinco de Mayo. Every year I post it.
Don't say mayo.
It's a mayonnaise with a cord tied to it with a brick. It's sitting over a bridge with water, and you Cinco de Mayo.
Oh gosh, Cinco de Mayo.
Justin knows what I'm talking about. When
That
we tried to
hurts.
speak Spanish that time in
Dude.
Columbia
Y'all
Airport,
No, it's horrible.
trying to
poor
order a
woman.
pizza.
They probably
poor
tried to give
woman.
you mayonnaise at the pizza restaurant.
No, that
Yeah,
poor
what do you
woman-
want?
that
I don't know
woman
how
in
someone
the-
can't understand large.
No, that poor woman at the mall Pizza Hut store. She just kept smiling and like nodding, and we're like, she's
look
not
at these
understanding
idiots.
anything we're saying. And then we're like, even acting out like to go, taking
Yeah.
it, moving our arms, and
To go.
oh yeah, we would definitely be lost.
Yeah.
But
So if the baby's born on the 4th, are you changing it to Leia?
Look, I've tried several times. She's not going for it. I
that
tried
could be the middle name. You could do Princess as the first name.
You could. Yeah. So Beckham was born in August, so there's no Star Wars correlation there at all. And I still tried.
Yeah.
And come to find out, after he was born, my dad pulled me to the side and he said, Lieutenant Beck was one of the starfighter pilots or whatever. And I was like, so we did get it in there.
There you go. There you go.
So I tried with the next baby. It's not working out for
Are
me.
you a big Star Wars fan?
I am. Yeah, big Star Wars guy.
He's a huge fan, yeah.
Okay.
You could call her Jar Jar for short.
Guaranteed for her never to be married.
Yeah,
Call her Jar Jar.
Man,
Right.
speaking of first kids, Jace kind of looked like Jar Jar Binks when he was. I mean, his head was all deformed and everything, man.
When you have a C-section, they don't come out deformed.
Well, we didn't have a C-section.
I
So
know, yeah.
there you go.
Beckham was a month early, and he looked like a little old man. He was 4 pounds, so I could fit him in the palm of my hand.
Dang.
It was a crazy experience for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
So, baby Chloe on the way. Man, that's amazing. That's exciting for you guys.
We're
I'm pumped.
excited.
Are you going to have any more kids after this? Or y'all, do you know yet?
I think we're done after that. So
Bro,
Yeah.
we got the boy, the girl.
Second one's not even here yet.
It's not too early.
Yeah.
It's not too early to get your
That's like
appointment in.
asking somebody after
It's
1
your
week of being
vasectomy.
married, you're
You-
going to have kids?
No, your
Like, it's kinda-
vasectomy appointment. You got to get that in.
I think we're done having kids, but the adoption is certainly something we've talked about that we want to explore down the road. So we'll see. We'll see what God has planned for us.
No, you can always adopt Tommy. He feels forsaken. So.
Not anymore. It was just in that moment. But you know what's fun though is bringing in various men from our men's group.
Yeah.
And Jeff, what's the total number now? We got
Well, we've got about, 22 guys in our current men's group right now.
that's not including the 4 of us on the
Mm-mm.
offshoot.
I kicked y'all out.
We multiplied, kind of.
We did.
Yep. So 26 total guys kind of
Yeah.
involved. That's a lot.
Yeah. That's exciting, man.
Started with 3 OGs right here. Justin, were you an OG?
I
no,
came in after.
That's right. Me,
I was
Pat.
part of the perfect number 7.
That's
Yeah, not 3.
You were number
Yeah.
7.
In the group of 7. So
Let's see. It was Pat, me, you, and then we had Hunter,
Junta.
Tyler, and Justin.
mhm.
Yeah, 6. Is that 6 or 7? I don't
I
know.
don't know. I lost count. I was just staring at you.
All right.
Yeah. So, Michael, we want to jump in your story, man. We want to hear all about this. So, we want you to kind of walk us through this and, man, let our listeners get to know and hear your story, man, and just how, once again, how incredible God is and how he intervenes and, man, just changes everything. So, man, walk us through it.
Absolutely, man. So, I was born in Twin Falls, Idaho, 1993. So that's something that not a lot of people know because I've been in Tennessee my whole life.
Yeah.
But I was born in Twin Falls, Idaho. So if you don't know about Twin Falls, its claim to fame is Evel Knievel. So he, back in the day, jumped a bridge out there, and I don't know if anything's happened since then. So,
Potatoes.
Exactly, potatoes, right. A couple of big waterfalls, I believe. So, was born there. The jury is still out on why we were in Idaho. There are some, my grandmother worked there. My mom had just graduated high school in Ripley, Tennessee. So, just a little bit north of here. She graduated high school at 18, had me 7 months later. And so we went up to Idaho for a few weeks, and I was born. And so we stayed there for a little while, and then found our way back down to Memphis, Tennessee. And a lot of early years memories was really just us moving around quite a bit. So I remember living with different family members. I remember us moving around from Memphis to Ripley, kind of all over Northwest Tennessee. And my parents were separated, in and out. Kind of on and in, off again relationship. And, early on, again, they're 18-year-old kids, right? They're kind of figuring out how to do this thing together. So, it was definitely a little bit of a situation where addiction was involved. And
were you when you moved around? Were you staying with family members, other people, or was it you and your mom, just the two of you? And what was the situation?
It was mainly with family. So my grandmother, so my dad's mother, we would really stay with her for most of the time. So, and she moved around quite a bit as well.
Okay.
And so
that's funny though. Your mom and dad split, but you stayed with your dad's grandmother.
I did, yes. Yeah, so she was kind of the only one, man. My mom had a little bit of a rough upbringing as well, and so she has 7 brothers and sisters. Her dad, my grandfather, was in prison at the time. I didn't get to meet him until I was in college when he got out of prison. So, so she didn't really have much family, much support there, and so my grandmother, we lived with her quite a bit whenever I was younger.
Okay,
and a lot of times, my sister and I would live with her when my mom and dad weren't living with them. My parents were both drug and alcohol abusers early on, and so it was certainly a challenge for us. There was a lot of things we went through as kids that we probably didn't need to, right? And yeah, man, it was a unique situation. Just a lot of moving around, a lot of new faces and things like that, for sure. Yeah, just not a lot of stability there for those first few years.
Did that cause you and your siblings to be close?
It did. Me and my sister, who's 3 years younger than me, for sure. So she was born, obviously, whenever I was 3, and so it was really she and I for a long time. And we kind of had each other. So we had to kind of help raise each other, which was unique for sure. And so...
Yeah, my wife talks about that because her parents divorced when she was 2, and she recalled like boarding an airplane. Her brother was 5 and she was 3, flying to see your dad, and just by themselves, like get the little pass and go with the stewardess. Can you imagine putting your 5 and 3-year-old on an airplane and being like, have fun? That's just crazy to me.
Yeah. As for the captain's wings.
Yeah. So, but she talks about like they have a unique bond because they walk through all of that together. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so, we kind of had each other, and then for the longest time, it was just me and my sister, and we would live with my grandmother. And so my grandmother didn't have like legal rights to us or anything by that means. And for the most part, all of the things like clothes and toys and things like that were at my house with my mom. But my grandmother would pick us up from school. We would stay there Monday through Friday, and then, we'd go home occasionally and things like that. And then, man, one day, whenever I was younger, my grandmother dropped us off at my mom's house, and I didn't see her again for a few years, and so that was really, really tough. So
you didn't see your grandmother again for a few years.
Yeah.
Was there a reason?
No
or
explanation?
Or?
Yeah. So as a kid, you don't really understand why, right? Later, come to find out, my mom had been seeing this guy, and for whatever reason, he didn't want us around my dad's mom, and so we just weren't allowed to see her. And so that was really, really tough for my sister and I. So my grandmother, she was a God-fearing woman. She didn't raise us in church. There were a few different times where we would go to church, right? And for whatever reason, she just didn't kind of stick with it. And, I don't really know the reasons why. She passed away whenever I was, preteen. So I never really got to find out why she wasn't involved in church. But she was a praying woman. There were many, many days where my sister and I would be sitting in her lap in her recliner, and she'd be crying, for my dad, and she'd be praying for my dad, and just for all the trouble that he was in, and the drugs and alcohol. And I just remember sitting back, and one early memory I have of her was just sitting back, and she was just telling me, she was like, "Michael, please promise me you'll never touch that stuff, promise me." And so, as a 5-6-year-old kid, man, you're just like, I promise, Grandma. Yeah, absolutely. You just don't understand the magnitude of kind of what she was going through at that time.
Right. Yeah.
Did your dad have any siblings?
He did. He had one brother, and so growing up, I got to see them quite a bit whenever I was living with my grandmother, and so that was always nice. But he was a half brother. Relationship was strained, obviously, because of the drugs and alcohol, and he was very physically and emotionally abusive towards my grandmother. And so, yeah, my sister and I have seen street fights with the two of them, you know, and just things that kids shouldn't see. We had to go through. And I remember nights of, you know, him showing up at 3 a.m, kicking it in the front door, asking for money or whatever the case is. And police come in, and next thing you know, we're trying to makeshift a door out of pillows and couches and sleeping on the floor. You know, it's just really, really, really tough stuff to see her go through. She passed away pretty young, and you know, it was heart issues, and she had been healthy her whole life. And
Stress.
I truly believe that stressing over him and some other things kind of led her to an early grave, unfortunately. For sure.
So you live with your grandmother, go back with your mom, and you said that she passed away like right before your teenage years. So she didn't raise you in church. So what was your kind of entry point and kind of getting exposed to going to church? Around what age was that?
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, my grandmother, again, she would take us every now and then she actually lived across the street from a Family Life Center for a First Baptist church in the town that she lived in. And so my first exposure to church was a little rocky. Granted, I'd never been exposed to it, but I would show up at the FLC. You know, I would show up for game nights. I would show up for free food. I would show up for all the events and things that they were doing for the kids. And I remember it vivid as anything, man. I was sitting at a pool party that they had hosted for all the youth, and this girl just comes up. I didn't really know who she was, and she made a comment along the lines of, you know, we always see you at these things where we're having fun, or we see you at the camps, or we see you, you know, coming to eat with us and things like that, but we don't ever see you in church. And it wasn't presented as, hey, I would like for you to come to church with me. It was, oh, you just want to come do the free stuff and the fun stuff. You don't want to actually come to big church, you know, and I took great offense to that, you know, and I was like, well, I'm just not going to go back. I felt unwanted, you know, as a kid.
And you're going to know in that moment better than any of us. Was it kind of delivered like, hey, you're coming for all these things, like kind of judgmental?
It for sure
approach
was.
Or okay.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it was that, or maybe just with all the stuff you've been walking through, did you take it the wrong way? But I imagine
it certainly could be a mix of the two, right? I could have been overthinking it, maybe potentially, but the way I remember it was kind of passive aggressive in the sense of like
give me my hot dog back.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, oh, you want to come do this, but you don't want to. I think the exact words were, you don't want to come to the big house on Sunday. It was the words I remember. So I just kind of stopped, you know. I was like, I don't feel welcome here. And that was one thing about me, man. As a kid, I didn't feel wanted. That's something I struggled with for a really, really long time. And I just didn't feel wanted from really anybody, right? Family, friends, whatever the case may be. And so as soon as I felt unwanted in that scenario, I just pulled out, right? So
what age are you now? So your grandma drops you off. About what age are you at this point? Is this preteen? Because
yeah, it's around the time that I was exposed to church.
No, the time that when your grandmother dropped you off at your mom's. Now, was that the time? Was that your mom who lived across the street from the Family Life Center, or your grandmother?
No, so that would have been during the time that I was living with my grandmother. Right. So she was around that age. I was probably 7, somewhere.
And then when you went to your mom's, when your grandma dropped you off, and you didn't see her for years.
Right. That was. Coincidentally, those were around it was probably within the same year that, you know, all that happened, and then we just didn't see her for a few years. And so my mom was with this new guy. I had a new sister who was born during this time period. And he was very much rock and roll band, long hair, drugs and alcohol. She had a type, bless her heart, but she certainly had a type. And, you know, I just remember him and his mother not wanting us to be, you know, they kind of wanted me and my sister to be a part of their family now, right? They didn't want us to have anything to do with my dad's mom, because my dad was out of the picture.
It was kind of the ex-husband
100%
of the new wife and all that, right?
Exactly, yeah. And so, you know, he didn't want us to be a part of that. And I remember just having a ton of resentment towards him and my mom, and just like, my grandmother was my favorite person in the world, and was my sister's, you know, and that's where we felt safe. That's where we wanted to be. And that was just kind of ripped away from us. And so during that time, I started to be a lot more rebellious in school. I started not doing well in school. I was not a good student, K through 12, to be honest with you. And so a lot of rebellious. I was a skater kid, so that kind of fit that persona, right? That was kind of my escape.
So can you still do an ollie?
I can, yeah. If you gave me a board, I could probably still hit an ollie, maybe a kick flip or two. Yeah,
hill flip.
Yeah. Now the stuff I used to do, I would break a leg real quick. But no, man, that was kind of my escape, right? So I would just hop on a skateboard and go. And
I felt like that kind of persona, that you tried to carry in that, because I remember kind of growing up in that era as well and trying to think. Like, it was almost like you wanted to put up a wall.
For sure.
Man, don't ask me questions. Don't, I'm kind of this hardcore shutdown kind of person. It's kind of that skater mentality back then.
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I was going after.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the whole like skater punk kid who just like was rebellious and like that. It was cool to be rebellious. Right. I was not doing it to be cool. I was doing it to escape all the things that were going on in my life. And so, luckily that didn't last, too long. So a year or two go by and then my grandmother comes back into my life. And,
how did that, let's talk about that a little bit. So what led to that?
I wish I knew. I showed up from school one day and her car was in front of our house. And I remember getting off the school bus, the most excited I think I'd ever been. And, there was really no explanation to me or my sister. I had another little sister at this point too. So, but we did not have the same dad. Her dad was the guy with my mom was currently with. And I just remember us getting in her car and she said, I got your clothes. Like, let's go back, And so we went back and it was just a few years after that she passed. Man. And so, but had those last few years with her, I was still kind of in my punk skater era, but it was a little bit different. I was a little bit more grounded. I wasn't, I failed the 5th grade. That was right in the middle of those skater days. But I had a sense of family again, right? Like I felt wanted and things like that. And look, man, my mother tried. Like my mother worked a lot of hard jobs to try to provide for us. She was a kid trying to raise kids, you know what I mean? And she needed some guidance that she just didn't have, from her mother growing up and things like that. And, so I try to give my mother some grace in this.
So question in regards to, so now you've got a new half sister, right? And so how was she treated differently?
She was.
Yeah.
It was weird, man, because it's like, again, we were taken away from my grandmother, right?
Sure.
Because her grandmother wanted us to be a part of that. We just naturally didn't fit in with that. But my little sister, that was their grandbaby, right?
Right.
And so a lot of times my sister would be with her grandmother. We would be with my grandmother. And so for several years, man, we were split up. We would still live in the same household, right? But I always say, like, I was raised by my grandmother. Like, I was raised by my mom and the guys that she was married to as well. It's just, we were never there. You know what I mean? We kind of got out and she kind of let us out, they were dealing with addiction, during those time periods. And, I do thank God that she kept us out of some of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like there were days where I knew they were in the house doing drugs, and the doors were locked and we were outside for 6 or 8 hours. I knew what was going on, but at least
even then you knew what was going on.
I did. Yeah. I knew then, I knew whenever I would see the tin cans hidden underneath the couch and, things like that. So, it was certainly something that I wasn't oblivious to. Probably my younger siblings were a little bit, but anyway, that relationship ended, and then we had a new stepdad. My mom got married to this next guy.
All right, hold on, time out.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, when your grandmother dies, so what's the timing then from the new stepdad and the grandmother dying? Had she already passed at this time?
Yeah, she had already passed.
So at this time. So I wanted to ask you about that. So when your grandmother passed, were you still living with your mom and you were just visiting, and then she passed, or were you living back with your grandmother?
I was with my mom a lot more then. So this was around the age, again, it's preteen years. So I'd started to like want to hang out with my friend. Like it wasn't cool to go to grandma's house every day after school, right? It was cool to go hit the skate park with my buddies. And my mom lived in town. So I was spending more time actually at home than I did like in the younger years because I was spending a lot of time with my buddies. I was not at home. I was not, with family. I wasn't doing homework. I wasn't doing any of these things. I would get off the school bus. I'd go to the skate park till dark, and I'd come home, go to sleep, go to school, and do the next thing. So
okay, all right. So now so they split. So they weren't married.
correct, they weren't married.
Does your half sister stay with your mom?
She does. Yeah, she stays with my mom, and we're the three of us are all kind of together at this point. And we're probably looking, at my little brother's now in the mix, so we're all 3 years apart. So every 3 years, I added a sibling until Riley was born, and so he was born, and he and my third or second sister. They are full siblings, and then
so this is 2 kids with the guy
right
who she didn't marry.
Correct. Yes,
the mother who wanted y'all to be a part of them. But okay,
exactly.
But then they split.
They split, and so she gets married.
So now the 4 of you though, she has 4 kids.
She has 4 kids. She's working 2 jobs. She meets this guy. They get married. Still very much the same type of guy, right? A lot of emotional, physical abuse, drugs, alcohol, things like that. So kind of the same tale, man. This one lasted a few years. At this point, I'm kind of old enough to just know, like, I really want to be.
Never in church in any of this time period with your mom?
During this time period, no. But my first exposure besides whenever I would go to the FLC is coming up after this guy. So that marriage lasted a few years. He was like an actual stepdad. It wasn't nearly as bad as my dad and then my sibling's dad. Like they were both very, very addicted and both passed away from drug overdoses. Whereas this guy is still alive today. It just didn't work out with him and my mom for whatever reason. And so it only lasted.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it only lasted a few years.
So now we're kind of moving into your high school years, right?
So right. Middle school, high school is coming up here.
So let's talk about that then.
Sure. Yeah. And so, that relationship ends, and my mom's like, "I'm going to be single for a little while," and we're all just like, "Yay."
No kids with the
No kids with him. Yep. So it's just the 4 of us at this point. So it was me, my 2 younger sisters, and then my baby brother. And so
during those moments where it was just mom, was it better?
It was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was so much better.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it over the years, and it's like my mom is so much better off without a guy, right?
Yeah.
And during the next phase of my childhood is where things got so much better, right? My grandmother's not here to take care of us anymore. My mom's older now, right? Again, she was a kid raising kids.
Did she stop using at any point during this time period?
She probably still did a little bit, but not nearly.
Okay.
Yeah, not nearly to the extreme that it was like in her younger days, for
You
sure.
ever find yourself being nervous, like, hey, this feels too good from what it was like, and does the other shoe fall off? Like that,
Or when's the next guy coming in?
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah. So the weird thing about it was like in this moment as a preteen, those years, I really didn't think about it too much, if I'm being honest with you, because my mom was working a 3rd shift job. And so it was on me to make sure that my siblings were up in the morning for school, to make sure everybody had breakfast. She would leave the EBT card on the counter. We would have to walk to the grocery store, whatever we were getting for dinner that night. My sister would cook and things like that. And so, as a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid, I'm now
a parent,
unfortunately trying to take a parental role. For a long, long time, man, I put a lot of responsibility on myself that shouldn't have been. I put a lot of blame on myself for things that happened with my siblings. Because I was the one that was supposed to be watching after them, and I did a bad job, right? It was a oh, mom's gone. I can go hang out with my friends up the street and just leave these kids at
Y'all
the house.
watch TV.
Oh yeah, exactly. Y'all watch TV, y'all do, whatever. And then that led to, my sister who's only 3 years younger than me. Hey, why don't y'all come up? Now she's got friends coming over because I'm not there to watch. And just, things that should have never happened. But my mom's working, a third shift job, and she would come home and sleep all day while we're at school. Yeah. And so it was kind of a really crazy time period. And then this is when I first got exposed to church. And there was a lot of church hurt from this experience. My mom met another guy, right? She was working part-time as a waitress, and she met this guy, and his uncle was a pastor at a church, Independent Baptist Church, up in Reelfoot Lake. Do you guys know where Reelfoot Lake is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So up at Reelfoot Lake. And so we start going to church. My mom was like, we're going to start going to church. And so we go up there. Come to find out, the guy that my mom was seeing was married. And so my first church experience, we were going to this guy's uncle's church because my mom was dating or having an affair, or he was having an affair with my mom. And we had to be quiet about the guy, right? We weren't allowed to say his name. We weren't allowed to say why we came to that church.
Oh, so y'all went there, not to, you didn't sit with them.
Right.
You were just going to church, and you couldn't mention the name because then it would expose everything.
For sure. So the guy who was having the affair thought it would be good for my mom to raise, again, we weren't the greatest kids. We were in trouble a lot. And he said, I think you should get the kids in church.
Yeah, and bring them to my church, but don't say nothing because I'll be sitting with my wife.
Exactly. And, as a kid, I didn't think about it, at the time.
He was smoking
kid.
something.
I mean, there's no,
Literally.
Yeah.
My goodness.
So what did your mom say to you? Like, hey, listen, we're going to go to church. So-and-so's going to be there.
Yeah,
we have to pretend we don't know him.
We knew
because he's married. Like she told you that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we knew that the guy's uncle was the pastor. We knew all his family that went there. Guys, this was some of the craziest things, and to this day, it's still kind of hard to believe. But there were times where we were at church where he was there with his wife and kids, and we knew the guy. So.
Wow.
Very weird.
More like looking at him winking and stuff. Hey.
Exactly. And so I start to learn these things in church, right?
Yeah.
And if you guys are familiar with Independent Baptist, they are hardcore, very strict, King James Bible only. And there was a lot of teachings that were pretty harsh, and for me, just hearing all that and then hearing my mom come home and say, okay, well, this, and I'm just like, you're having an affair with this. And so it's just a lot of the stuff just didn't make sense to me.
How old are you now?
I'm a teenager at this point.
You're fully aware of everything.
I'm fully aware. Yeah. So this is probably middle school.
What were some of the things maybe you heard that you're like, this just is weird, teaching wise, or just kind of your exposure to church at this point outside of the affair, and you can't, look at the guy that's there. What are some of the things where you're like, oh my word?
Let's talk about today's message, kids. What?
Yeah, exactly. So obviously the elephant in the room of affair, that part always was just that's really weird that this guy's teaching about marriage and my mom's dating his nephew, and
he knew.
And
he knew.
I don't know if the pastor knew.
You can't.
So you don't know.
I have no idea if the pastor ever knew. Yeah. Granted, everyone ended up finding out, down the road. But that was my first job. I worked for this guy during the summers, and I would be at his house with his wife and his kids working on their farm.
The affair, dude.
Yeah. And so it was a lot of mixed signals
that
being
dude
sent
had
to me.
Some kind of,
Man,
I can't say what I want to say, but that dude had some courage.
Yeah, he did. And the sad part about it was I looked up to this guy more than anybody. It was hard for me in the moment to say oh yeah, what you're doing is really, really wrong. Looking back, it obviously was, but this is the first guy who ever took an interest in me, right? This was the first actual father type figure that had actually somewhat acted like they were interested in, in my development, in my growth. And, he wanted us in church, and, he had a lot of different flaws, but,
especially if you felt unwanted, you kind of put up a block,
For sure.
And now if this guy, somebody you look up to and you feel wanted and all this other stuff, and He's bringing you into
This is getting
the fold
this
of his
is getting
life.
Good.
Yeah.
This is getting good. This is
crazy.
I like how you said that. It's bananas.
It's bananas. And, you know, I think what we're going to do here.
Whoa.
We got to, Tommy.
Wait. Stop. Don't say it.
All right. Well,
Sometimes you be cutting it off too quick. You just be like, okay. It's like my mom. When I talk to my mom on the phone, she's like, if she wants to hang up, she hangs up. She's like, okay, bye.
well, I know why now.
I mean, that sounds like it's between you and your mom. She might have a valid point.
I'm just trying to say, Jeff, you got to tease it a little bit.
I'm going to. I'm going to.
Because this is getting good. Like, this is getting...
Because here, Michael's getting invited in, right? Being desired, wanted by this guy that he can't have a relationship with.
I'm just wondering how this ends up because he says everybody finds out in the end. So I'm really curious.
I know. So this is where we're going to have to wrap it up. You guys have to tune back in to listen.
Oh, man. Wait.
Thanks for listening, guys.